This last update to Azur Lane is a game changer. There weren't any new events this time around, but there were a lot of non-flashy big changes. The most effective tactics available for farming in Azur Lane are changing. In this video, we're going to talk about all the new updates as well as all the things that you need to know with these new changes. Of course, there is a Crimson Echoes rerun. About time now. Great for people who don't have Amagi yet. Speaking of Amagi, she took her rightful place in the Hall of Fame. I really like all these new frames. I'm excited to see who wins the popularity poll this year. Vote Acula or I'll haunt you. As part of this update, we got 50,000 coins and 200 Apollo gems as well. Nice compensation for our trouble. So what is that trouble? What is changing? Well, first of all, we have a lot of system optimizations. This quick swap gears is awesome. It'll save me a lot of time and a lot of clicks as I switch my gear around on my different ships. UI changes for a game this old are definitely appreciated. New autumn theme is nice. The commissions are changing. Daily commissions are changing, limited commissions are changing, and urgent commissions are changing. All of them are getting boosts to what resources they give out. A lot of these old quick finisher only commissions are going to be giving other resources as well. So buffing up the commissions is going to be helpful to everyone. Kind of makes up for not being able to commission farm as easily. So if you log in throughout the day, you're going to be able to get a lot more resources than you have been able to previously. They seem like small changes, but they will add up a lot over time. But let's get into the change that is most important here. A lot of people have asked me my thoughts on the clearing mode changes. We're going to have new introductions of oil consumption caps. This changes all the calculations for farming. New farming meta starts this update. A lot of people over the weekend have been asking my thoughts and calculations for the new grinding. So here we're going to go through this. Reminder, this only applies to chapter 9 to chapter 13. It only applies to clearing mode, so keep that in mind. You'll have to clear it the first time around 100% before you get clearing mode and you get the new oil consumption caps. So Long put this nice graphic together because all the maps have different oil caps and they're different for the mob fights versus the boss fight and different for your submarine calls, and they're different all the time. So there's a nice graphic here. You can see basically mobs are going to be cheaper than boss, subs are the cheapest, and as you get higher map levels, they go up. I assume we're going to also get this for chapter 14. By the way, that was confirmed. This New Orleans class ship was confirmed. The heavy cruiser looks a little bit different depending on which servers you're playing on. Also, side note, they totally teased a new fighter mechanic. No idea what that's going to entail, but just be on the lookout for that. That also tells me that World 14 is going to be a hellscape of planes again. Otherwise, why would they need to update and improve fighters? Anyway, that's totally an aside. Back to the oil grinding. So with these new caps, how they work is pretty self-explanatory. When you go into a mob fleet in, say, 9-1, your fleet will not cost more than 27 oil, even if you bring in all rainbows. So this actually changes a lot because now you don't have to worry about running 1-1 fleets all the time. You can just run a 3-3 fleet and completely pay the max cost and just have that be set. This is definitely really helpful if we start getting a lot more URs. We, of course, are getting a UR in the gacha in December, and those cost a lot of oil, so this will help save your oil a little bit. Of course, you're going to be getting more oil off of commissions now, so that should help. So with this new caps, we have the new numbers. So let's talk about experience to oil. Here we have all of the experience with the standard, whether or not they get the flagship, the MVP bonus, or both. It doesn't really matter because they all scale off of each other. So let's just look at the standard because that's going to tell us where the best places to farm are. So right now we're looking at oil to experience ratios. This is oil efficient farming. This is probably what you want to use if you are farming for a priority rare ship or PR ship, research ship, or if you just want to be oil efficient in between events. Of course, more experience the higher chapters you go. So this is, like I said, looking at just efficiency. 1-star mobs, 2-star mobs, 3-star mobs, and the boss fight all scale with each other. So there isn't a particular map where like 1-star mobs are better than the boss fight. So we really only have to look at one column here, and it's color coded. You can see pretty clearly that 11-1 is going to give you the most experience per oil cost. So 11-1 is where we're going to want to farm for all of our experience. experience. This is if you want to farm up your ships really fast, or if you want to get research experience, like for PR5 when that comes next summer. Also, since I affinity grind while I do my experience grind, I'm probably going to do that here in 11.1. Although if you want to min-max that, you can go do that in 2.1. With the experience chips, that actually might be a thing, because people might just use the experience chips to get them all the way up, and then just need to get that last 90 to 100 affinity, which they can do really cheaply in 2.1. Anyway, experience to oil efficiency is probably not the only thing on your mind. Keep in mind we have changes to how the mystery nodes work. The mystery nodes will now be tacked on as a bonus in the boss fight. That way, when you do all of the auto clearing, you're just going to get those bonuses. Because before, the auto lane bot would not go pick those up, and you would just be out those resources unless you manualed. Now they're just going to be tacked on to the end. Now those bonuses are going to be in coins, and they're going to be based off of how much oil you spend. This is actually a big deal, because this is now going to incentivize you to bring full fleets, full 3-3 fleets. This is a big difference. Before, you were going for the 1-1 fleet for oil efficiency. You know, you can go get the mystery nodes for coins. Now we have an oil cap, so there's no downside to going as hard as possible. Now we get all the coin bonuses at the end based on how much oil we spend. So there's actually incentive to make your fleet cost at least the oil cap. And if you're going to cost the oil cap, why wouldn't you just make the best fleet possible? Bring them all the way up. World 13 ain't that hard if you bring totally maxed out ships. And if you were worried about not getting the experience you need, any experience you get with your max level ships can be turned into experienced ships depending on your lecture hall efficiency, which you can then use to level any ship that's not maxed. So this means that you are going to be able to use your completely completed maxed out ships on the hardest content without any downside. All the oil efficiency metas that we've been talking about, well, that kind of goes out the window with all of this. It's kind of weird. But let's talk about where the gold to oil efficiency actually lies. It should be pretty self-explanatory that as we look at this chart, 13.4 is the highest. I assume 14.4 will be the highest when we get there, but we get more oil per gold the higher we go. And that's going to be basically because of the oil cap mixed with the new changes to the gold drop at the end of the boss fight. One thing to note here is that 12.4 actually has a better gold to oil efficiency than 13.1 and 13.2, which is interesting. The same for 11.4 and 12.1 and 12.2. So one thing you might want to note here is that 12.4 actually looks like a pretty good hybrid. In terms of the experience to oil ratio, it's pretty decent. In terms of the gold to oil ratio, it's pretty decent as well. There's actually a drop off after it. If you wanted to have a hybrid, 12.4 might be good between the gold to oil efficiency as well as the experience to oil efficiency. But 13.4 is definitely the best gold to oil efficiency, but it's a lot harder. Some people might not even have 13.4 done yet. 12.4 is significantly easier at this time. Both have clearing mode now. So at the end of the day, this new update might not bring anything flashy, but it definitely changes the way that we farm. We no longer have to have all those oil efficiency tricks. We really just have to put in the best fleets and do our best. It makes it a lot easier. Play the best ships. I kind of like this. This is something that I really appreciated from Operation Siren because, you know, there's no oil there, so we didn't have to deal with oil efficiency at all. And now they're kind of working that way. Also, subs are going to be easier to get affinity farming for, and they're easy to level now with the new lecture hall that came before this. So subs aren't going to be as much of a pain going forward, which is nice. So, do you want the too long didn't read version? Skip to this part of the video. The new meta for experience to oil efficiency is going to be 11.1. The new meta for gold to oil efficiency is 13.4. The new meta for affinity grinding of your ships is 2.1. And the hybrid where most people probably are going to grind, which has the combination of good gold to oil efficiency, good experience to oil efficiency. You can still get affinity farming there. And it's easy enough that you don't have to use all max level ships yet. In case you don't want to lose some of your experience to the lecture hall because it's not 100% conversion for max ships to the experience chips, then you can sit in 12.4. So for me, I think I need to use 11.1 a little bit more. I'll probably be using that more going forward. Otherwise, I've been grinding at 12.4 for a while. I don't see myself changing that much. I know in this last video for leveling ships, I talked about grinding in Chapter 8. That's pretty much dead. Move over to 11.1. And yeah, I hope that helps you guys make decisions for grinding. A little bit new farming going forward, but it actually is simpler in the long run. I like the changes. Until next time.